Welcome to Roosterville, USA. Today, we're taking a weekend side trip out to Sibley, Missouri, to walk the grounds of Fort Osage. Looking at this 1803 map, the Louisiana Purchase doubled the size of the United States. Running through the middle was the Missouri River, the highway west. But the borders were unstable. British and Spanish traders pushed in, while private trappers exploited Native Americans, risking war. To avoid an expensive war, Presidents Washington and Jefferson devised the factory system. Government-run trading posts exchanged manufactured goods for Native American furs at fair prices. By controlling this market, they could systematically bankrupt rogue private traders, squeezing out the individuals causing unrest. That makes Fort Osage a highly specialized installation. Designed as a weapon of economic diplomacy, it allowed the government to literally buy control of the American frontier. In 1808, William Clark, of the Lewis and Clark expedition, returned to a spot he had scouted 4 years earlier. It was a 70-foot limestone bluff that commanded a sweeping view of the river, forcing boats to slow down against the current. Here, the U.S. signed the Treaty of Fort Clark with the Osage Nation, officially bringing the fort to life. The nerve center of the fort was a building known as the factory. Inside, a government agent called a factor, in this case a man named George Sibley, managed the massive inventory, trading manufactured items like metal axes, cooking utensils, and blankets for valuable animal pelts. The Native Americans who visited the fort were essential to the entire operation. The government treated them as vital diplomatic and commercial partners who made the factory system function. The government did surround the trading post with tall wooden palisade walls, 2-story defensive blockhouses, and heavy cannons. But these defenses were strictly built for observation and intimidation. In fact, no actual battles were ever fought here. For the 80 or so enlisted soldiers stationed at the post, the reality was grueling. They earned just $5 a month. Instead of fighting, they spent their days performing endless manual labor, chopping wood, maintaining the buildings, and working the hot blacksmith forge to keep the isolated community running. Supply boats from the eastern states could take months to arrive by river, meaning rations were incredibly tight. To survive the long winters, soldiers had to cultivate massive gardens just outside the fort walls to supplement their diets with corn, beans, and cabbage. Despite the polished uniforms and imposing artillery, a soldier's survival at Fort Osage came down to tedious daily labor, extreme self-sufficiency, and maintaining a fragile peace. By 1822, the factory system collapsed. The rigid government bureaucracy, stuck in its static forts, simply couldn't compete with a new wave of agile private traders. These men traveled directly into native villages and married into the tribes, building commercial networks the government couldn't match. As the American frontier pushed rapidly further west, Fort Osage became obsolete and was abandoned. Local settlers slowly scavenged the pre-cut timber to build their own homes and barns. Eventually, nothing was left of the outpost except a buried rock foundation. Then, in the 1940s, archaeologists excavating the site rediscovered those original stone basements. The find sparked an ambitious initiative by Jackson County to completely resurrect the site. They had an incredible stroke of luck. William Clark's original 1808 architectural surveys and measurements had survived in the archives. This allowed modern builders to reconstruct the blockhouses, the factory, and the wooden palisades exactly as they stood in 1812. Today, Fort Osage is a National Historic Landmark, complete with a massive education center and living history programs where visitors can interact with the frontier past. It stands out on the Missouri River as a testament to an ambitious early experiment in economic diplomacy and the modern dedication required to pull that history back from the dirt. Thanks for tagging along on this site trip with Roosterville, USA. If you enjoyed the journey, make sure to like the video, share it with a fellow history buff, and subscribe to the channel for more adventures.